What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and you are getting a double dose of videos to me, scouting report videos, because I have the time today. But I am going to spread them out throughout the week. I have several more that I'm going to do for, future Dolphins opponents. But today you're going to get a double dose of them, and I am going to be doing the Indianapolis Colts right now. So look, they had to play the Seattle Seahawks. That is a tough team. They did end up losing. But look, man, I do think at the end of the day, this Colts team could prove to be, pretty good by the end of the year. Maybe somewhere in the middle of the pack, or maybe, leaning into the top edge of the top 16 or something like that. Overall. Now, we'll have to wait and see, obviously. And like I said, they did lose to a tough Seattle Seahawks team, but let's dive into it, shall we? So let's get into, like I said, they lost obviously 28-16, but it was overall a pretty solid defensive day for both sides of the ball. Look, with DK Metcalf and Lockett and Chris Carson and Russell Wilson, it's just a really tough offense to defend against. And so, I think the Colts defense played pretty admirably for what they had to deal with. I guess there's no moral victories, but they played pretty well. They did shut them down. They got some decent pass rush and stuff like that. So, it was just a tough matchup, but, let's go ahead and get into these. So, real quick, I would just say that, look, I think this game probably, could prove to be a bit harder than what Dolphins fans think it will. I do have it down as a win on the, for my record for the season. And I do think that is going to be the outcome. It is a home game for the Dolphins. I think we will get the win, but it could end up being a bit closer than what people think. I do think their defense is going to be pretty good overall on the season, and that offense, as it settles in, could, prove to be better than what some people think. But let's take a look at these stats. So real quick, I am going to give you the overall stats. Indianapolis had 336 total yards. They gave up 381 to the Seahawks. They had 223 passing. They gave up 241. They had a $113 on the ground and gave up 140 to the Seahawks. They were only 4.7 yards per play, so you ideally want that to be above 5. But they gave up 7.2, which again, it's a really tough matchup, so we'll see how it plays out throughout the season. Like I said, I think overall their defense is probably going to be better than that. But, we'll see how it plays out. So each team did lose a fumble. Neither team threw an interception. The Colts had 38% conversion percentage, excuse me, on third down, which is not ideal. You definitely want to have more than that. And so, I do think that Colts offensive line is pretty good. And, the Seattle Seahawks do have some solid pass rush. But there will be some opportunities for the Dolphins there. So, and they gave up 44% on third down to the Seahawks. Time of possession, they did have overwhelming the time of possession, though, with 35 minutes and 47 seconds. They just need to, they just needed to be, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more inefficient. There were some miscommunications, couple overthrows. They did get some sacks on Carson Wentz. So, like I said, tough team. The Seahawks had it for 24-13. Indy only had 2 penalties, though, to the Seattle Seahawks 7. So there was a pretty big disparity there. But let's take a little bit closer look now. Just real quick, let's breeze through this. Let's see. Excuse me. Okay, so where was I? So the Seahawks, just for defensive purposes, just to see what they allowed. They did allow Russell Wilson to go 18 for 23, 254 yards and 4 touchdowns. So if we're gonna look for the secondary, one thing I learned from this game is that Colts secondary is potentially a place that we can attack, especially with guys like Will Fuller and you know, Jalen Waddle or, you know, Devontae Parker down the sideline or down the field. Or Mike Gesicki down the seam or something like that, right? There are going to be some good opportunities for this Dolphins offense, provided they, you know, can provide some protection to Tua to give him some time to throw downfield, because that will be, I think, an area in which we can exploit. Let's see. So Chris Carson obviously led the way, 16 rushes, 91 yards and a 5.7 average. Dwayne Eskridge threw in 2 for 22 and an 11 average. And then obviously you can see the rest there, just a little bit more added. Tyler Lockett led the way, 4 of 4 of 5 for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf, 4 of 5, 60 and a score. Will Dissly, 3 of 3 and 37. Chris Carson, 3 of 3, 26. And Gerald Everett, 2 of 2, 20 yards and a touchdown. So, like I said, I mean, they definitely have a ton of weapons on that Seattle Seahawks offense. So, they are tough to defend. And just real quick to scroll through the rest of these stats just so you can take a look at them if you so choose. And as I usually say, if you want, you can go ahead and pause the video. All right, moving on. So let's go up and take a look at the Colts and see how they did. Statistically, Carson Wentz was 25 of 38 for 251, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jonathan Taylor led the way for them, 17 rushes, 56 yards, and a 3.3 average. Nyheim Hines threw in 9 for 34 and a 3.8. Carson Wentz had 4 rushes of his own, 23 and 5.8, 5.8 average. And so obviously Carson Wentz is, you know, somewhat of a threat with his legs. He's not the most mobile or the most athletic, but he can, you know, break a few for, you know, a decent average every now and again, right? So, in the receiving, Jonathan Taylor was 6 of 7 for 60. Nyheim Hines, 6 of 8 for 48. Zach Pascal, 4 of 5 for 43 and 2 scores. Michael Pittman, 3 of 4, 29. Mike Strachan, 2 of 2, 26. Paris Campbell, 1 of 3, 24. Jack Doyle, 3 of 4 for 21. And see, you know, and that's what I'm talking about. The Colts do have some solid offensive weapons here. They just need to, you know, get in their rhythm and settle down and stuff. And then just a quick scroll through of these other stats for you. Once again, if you so choose, you can pause the video to take a closer look. Okay, so now with that, I am going to switch over, though, because it is time to take a look at the league standings. Okay, so as usual, all of these are the league standings after week 1. This is all stats in a per game format, so it's going to be their average on the year, right? So this is for the Indianapolis Colts. Total yards on offense, they ended up 22nd after the first week. And passing offense, 23rd, 17th in rushing offense, 24th in scoring. For defense, total yards given up, they were 14th. 11th in passing, 25th in rushing, 20th in scoring. And as usual, the disclaimer goes along with this is that right now at the beginning of the season, there's going to be a lot of teams jumbled up. So this is just kind of where they fell on the list. But for takeaways, they are 14th in the league, 22nd in interceptions, 8th for fumbles, 9th for sacks, and 18th for passes defensed. And just as usual, I will pop it down here so you can take a quick look at the Dolphins and where they stood after this week. All right, guys, that's all I got for you for this preview. Like I said, I think it is going to be ultimately a win when they come down to Hard Rock Stadium, but this could be one of those games where it proves to be a little bit more challenging than we expect, and it could end up being a, you know, a relatively low or more mid-scoring game. That ends up being pretty close overall. And of course, we play them in week 4 at Hard Rock Stadium. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.